So, cheer me up, babe.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Huh?
Happy New Year everyone, and welcome back to Political X. If this is the second video you're watching, probably should click that subscribe button. I really thought I wasn't going to have to come back in so quickly on the Ghislaine Maxwell verdict, but boy oh boy, the BBC have outdone themselves. We've got Alan Dershowitz in front of us. He has been accused by Virginia Giuffre of the similar sort of crimes as Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. So what is he doing on there? And then just have a listen to how he's introduced by the BBC.
Well, let's get more analysis of that verdict now. We can speak to constitutional lawyer Alan Dershowitz, who joins us now.
No comment on the fact that he's been accused of sexual assault of a minor. None. Human rights lawyer and coroner Gallagher QC said on Twitter, "Sorry, what?" BBC News now have Alan Dershowitz on to analyse Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction without any reference to his background. He's simply introduced as a constitutional lawyer as if he's a neutral expert. Shocked. Utterly bizarre decision, and does the audience a disservice. Let's go straight into what he has to say, because he goes straight on the attack, and it has very little relevance to the actual conviction of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I think the most important thing, particularly for British lawyers, is that the government was very careful who it used as witnesses. It did not use as a witness the woman who accused Prince Andrew, accused me, accused many other people, because the government didn't believe she was telling the truth.
He hasn't got a clue as to why the government have not included her. He's making stuff up on TV, and he is using this as a platform for him to push forward his own agenda of trying to get out of being prosecuted. Virginia Giuffre has labelled two people, and both of them have been convicted. And she is also labelled others, including Alan Dershowitz. Let's have a listen to what else he has to say.
In fact, she, Virginia Giuffre, was mentioned in the trial as somebody who brought young people to Epstein for him to abuse. And so this case does nothing at all to strengthen in any way the case against Prince Andrew. Indeed, it weakens the case against Prince Andrew considerably.
There's just so much to unpack in what's going on here. First of all, why is he talking about Prince Andrew and himself? Why is he not talking about what's happened to Ghislaine Maxwell? Why isn't the presenter pulling him up on this and going, what are you talking about? We just wanted to focus on the Ghislaine Maxwell thing. Why are you going off on a tangent? Did you also notice that he seems to be mispronouncing Virginia Giuffre's name and going with the word goof?
Because the government was very selective in who it used. It used only witnesses who they believed were credible, and they deliberately didn't use the main witness, the woman who started the whole investigation, Virginia Giuffre, because ultimately they didn't believe she was telling the truth. They didn't believe that a jury would believe her, and they were right in doing so. So it was very smart on the part of the government.
That man has no idea why the government didn't select her. There could be 1,000 reasons. The first one that comes to my mind is, why conflict the two cases? Let them have separate cases, so if one fails, maybe the other one will succeed. He's still not focusing on the fact that Virginia Giuffre has actually labelled two people and they've both been convicted.
The version, the image that was portrayed of Ghislaine Maxwell as a sophisticated predator is the one that the jury have agreed with.
Well, the jury agreed that she helped Jeffrey Epstein in his activities. And the question then is whether or not she will be sentenced as if she were Jeffrey Epstein or sentenced as if she were simply somebody who facilitated and helped. And the other question is, who else will be charged? Because the testimony introduced evidence that other people were guilty and involved. Again, Virginia Giuffre, she was alleged by the same women who the jury believed to have brought them to Jeffrey Epstein, knowing that they were underage, getting undressed, having sex with Epstein.
Again, gone off point, but not only that, the stuff that he's talking about is also the stuff that he's accused of. He's accused of getting undressed and doing it in front of Epstein.
In front of them when they were underage, in order to encourage them also to have sex with Epstein. So I think the next question is, when will Virginia Giuffre be indicted and charged, rather than her accusing people like Prince Andrew and me and Ehud Barak and George Mitchell and the dozens of other people who she's accused. So the next question is, who else will be charged for facilitating Jeffrey Epstein's misconduct?
Now, I don't know if you noticed, but the presenter stuttered quite a few times at the beginning, and I assume there's a level of stress. Maybe he's new to it, I don't know. What I can turn around and say is, there is a lot going on here with what he's said, and this is the second time he said, I've been accused. So why is it, again, in the introduction that hasn't been brought up? Why is it that the presenter isn't jumping on that and going, hold on a minute, you've been accused, why are you on here? And on top of that, he's flipping this around and making it all about Virginia Giuffre. Again, mispronounced her name. Why isn't the presenter going, well, you've been accused as well. When are we going to see you on the stand? I hate to say it, but if you were looking at this from a certain perspective, you might think that this is all being done to start building a platform to defend Prince Andrew and his actions. Because I've got no clue as to why someone like that is brought on. Even when I heard that Alan Dershowitz had been on the BBC and interviewed about this, I thought, that's really strange. Why would they bring him on? Well, I guess he's a lawyer, and he has represented Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at some level. Ghislaine Maxwell. So maybe there's some context, but then I'm going, he's still part of the case, along with a number of other prominent people. Quite frankly, it's gotten to a point now where we can look at this and go, you know what? She's labelled 2, she's convicted 2. It's not going to be too far a stretch to think, well, Prince Andrew's involved. It's not too far a stretch to think Alan Dershowitz is involved. She's got 2 for 2. And I assume these guys are going down as well.
Just returning to the issue of the guilty verdicts against Ghislaine Maxwell.
Sure.
As a lawyer, where do you expect the sentencing to fall on the spectrum of prison terms that are available to the judge?
Well, I think she'll get a substantial prison term because she was convicted on 5 counts. And the guidelines provide for fairly high sentencing. So it will certainly be in the double figures. It won't be 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. It more likely will be in the teens. She will get credit, of course, for the time she's already served. I don't think she's going to get 30 or 40 years. That would be utterly inconsistent with what prior sentences have been in comparable cases. But I think she probably can expect a significant sentence. She will also appeal, obviously. She will not get bail pending appeal, but she will appeal. And within, say, 8 months or so, 3 judges will decide whether the trial was fair. The fact that the jury stayed out so long and did distinguish counts, 5 yes, 1 no, will make it a little bit more uphill for her to successfully appeal, but there will be an appeal.
Why is this man on air? And I'm hoping the BBC are going to do a full investigation. They've already sent out an apology. Last night's interview with Alan Dershowitz after the Ghislaine Maxwell verdict did not meet the BBC's editorial standards, as Mr. Dershowitz was not a suitable person to interview as an impartial analyst, and we did not make the relevant background clear to our audience. We will look into how this happened. I hope they do, because what's taking place is weird, at minimum, weird. There was also, unfortunately, other weirdness taking place in news with Ian Maxwell, who I'll also be doing a video on, who appears to be gaslighting the British public and, to an extent, the victims about whether or not what they said was true and whether or not they realised it was true. I was surprised that Sky gave him a platform. I was also surprised at the rapidity that he had done in getting himself onto Sky to defend a convicted sex offender. I guess the final question I have towards all of that is anyone in the media going to ask the government, is Ghislaine Maxwell going to be registered as a sex offender in the United Kingdom? That is going to be a very interesting topic of conversation to bring up with any MP on TV. Hint, hint, mainstream media. I hope you enjoyed my political observations this week. If you'd like to support me, please share the video with others and post about it on social media. If you're keen for more, subscribe, comment, like, and hit that notification button. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Political X.